I'd like to share with you guys my journey toward finding more creative fulfillment and healthy expression, and how living abroad has played a big part in this journey. If you're someone who is feeling a little unfulfilled in what they're doing or wants to find more healthy creative expression, perhaps my journey can help. I don't like filming in public. Something always happens. There's a couple of pigeons flying around right now, but here we go. I've always been creative. When I was a kid, I could draw. When I finished high school, I was completely lost, totally confused, didn't know what I wanted to do. And a lot of voices around me told me I was going to be an architect. I was passionate about architecture, and it also provided a relatively secure career path as a creative. So I studied and worked in architecture for a number of years until I burnt out. Crashed and burned. Basically, it was mainly due to the corporate side of things. 90% of it wasn't creative. It was deadlines, working a ton of hours, very much in the monkey wheel. And I started suffering anxiety, which I'd never really suffered before. And I had to take a good hard look at things. At the same time, I was a drummer in a band playing shows on the weekend. And I knew I needed a drastic change. It just so happened that my bandmates were looking for a change too. And one night on a dance floor in Melbourne, where I grew up, we made the decision as a band to relocate to London and have a crack at the big time. It was an amazing 2 years doing gigs, but it was fairly relentless. London is an expensive place to live as a poor artist. We were pushing our instruments to practice in a shopping trolley, living off £1 meals, but I'd never felt more free, particularly as an artist or creatively. But it was quite a relentless couple of years, and unfortunately, the band fell apart. We couldn't hold the relationship together. At the same time, I took a trip to Berlin, and when I visited Berlin, we're talking like 2010, there was this awesome artistic vibe. Germany had never been on my radar, but I really sensed something cool there, particularly artistically. My ex-girlfriend introduced me to Hamburg. I ended up moving here with her, had a son. Relationship also didn't work out, a bit of an ongoing theme here. But I chose to stay in Germany to be a present father and to be the best father I could be. But to be the best father I could be, I needed to have this healthy form of creative expression. I'd left architecture, the music thing didn't work out, and I returned to my passion of storytelling, filmmaking, writing, acting, all stories. It was actually the stories in architecture that I loved, the stories in music, lyrically. It was always stories. I just hadn't really pinpointed that. So as a single father in the early days here, I also pivoted my career into storytelling. And again, people told me I was crazy. There's no need for an Australian actor in Germany. I was told that. But it made me determined to take things a little bit more into my own hands. So I started making stuff, built collaborative networks, and just persisted all the time in a foreign country working odd jobs, and got closer and closer toward a much more healthier creative life. The point I'm making is we're not limited by circumstance. I moved to a foreign country where English is not the first language and have been able to establish an artistic career here. I'm not suggesting it takes a move of country to find that, but for me, stepping out of Australia, the place I was from and where I had all this history, it really allowed me to step out of the noise and listen to that quieter kind of voice that was nudging me in a different direction. Every professional or creative endeavor has informed something. My architecture and my music has now benefited me as a storyteller. So none of that was a waste of time. I used to think to myself, oh, if only you'd done this and not wasted, 6 or 7 years in architecture. But I was exactly where I was meant to be at that time. And when I started to burn out, it was telling me that I needed to make some changes. I would just say that if there's something kind of calling you, it's really about taking a tiny step toward that. You know, if you want to write a sentence, that becomes a paragraph, that becomes a page, that becomes a chapter. If you want to act, go to an acting class. It's just about taking all these little steps. It really comes down to the practical side of things. Like, I'm someone who spends a lot of time thinking about stuff. I'm a bit of an overthinker. I'm a bit of a daydreamer. And I've really had to learn that it's the practical stuff and it's the doing that moves me forward. And even if it doesn't work out the way I want it to, or I kind of try and control the outcome, it doesn't matter because it always teaches me something that I can grow and learn from. That's what I'm trying to do with these videos. This is my kind of first attempt at doing a video like this, just to get the ball rolling. Pretty messy. I don't want to be too sentimental with the stuff I say. I just want to offer you guys stuff from my own lived experiences. That's living abroad. That's my creative life. The niche can get a little bit confused, but essentially it's storytelling, creativity, and living abroad. I'm kicking on a bit, and now it's really about how I can offer you guys stuff from my experience. And I've had a lot of experiences. So if you've got any questions, I'd love to hear them. I'm pretty happy I found this cool area in my apartment because the sound's cool, like it's enclosed, and it's a lovely Saturday evening, so there's not too many people around, which is cool. All right, guys, thank you so much. Till next time.